The Weekly Show with David J. Maloney. This week, David talks to Mark Wetzel from the Five Rivers Delta Center. And now, here's your host, David J. Maloney.
Welcome to everyone at home, and I would normally say our studio audience to The Weekly Show. I am your host, David J. Maloney. I say normally because we would usually shoot the show before a small studio audience at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, but we are still shooting from home due to coronavirus concerns. And because we are still shooting from home, filling in for our house band, the Mogiles, again with me tonight, making me laugh right now, is my son, Gianni. So, former Harvard President Larry Summers has recanted his statements that women are genetically inferior in math and science. Summers changed his mind when his wife gave him the exact distance and velocity to their living room sofa. The president of France has said Americans are arrogant in their expectations that the rest of the world learn English and in their refusal to learn any French before traveling to his country. Or at least that's what I thought he said. Oh, and I was recently talking with a friend about home security, and he said he keeps a baseball bat near his bed. I guess that's in case someone breaks into his house and throws him a curveball up and inside. And let's see, my electric toothbrush is almost dead, which means it will soon begin its second life as a regular toothbrush. The other day, my wife said I should be treating her a lot more like I did when we were first dating. So after dinner, I dropped her off at her old apartment. I told her that joke the other night, and she really didn't like it. So I got her some flowers. And it got me thinking, marrying a vegan would have a cool side benefit, because when you'd buy your wife flowers, you'd also be getting her a much less expensive edible arrangement. After I got her the flowers, I thought everything was fine. I even got excited when she said she wanted to do some role-playing that night, and more specifically, play doctor. She then gave me some paperwork and had me sit in a chair by myself for a few hours before taking my temperature. On this week's show, we will talk with Mark Wetzel from one of the niftiest tourism centers in our area, the Five Rivers Delta. Many of you have passed it in your travels, not even knowing what enjoyable daytime gem is right there, and believe me, it is something special. Mark may even bring some cool animals on to share with us. So don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. G? And we are back. Our featured guest tonight is Mark Wetzel with the Five Rivers Delta Center. The center sits basically a stone's throw away from I-10 on the Mobile Causeway. Many of us pass it in our daily travels without really knowing what it's all about. So Mark is here with us tonight to tell us what it's about. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me here, David.
So I've passed your sign on the causeway a gazillion times, but it wasn't until recently that I finally had a real idea of what I was seeing. For those who don't know, what is the Five Rivers Delta Center, and what do you guys do?
That's an expansive question there. So Five Rivers Delta Resource Center is 81 acres worth of property that is an education center. We are your gateway to the Mobile Tensas Delta. So that means that we'll teach you about the plants, the animals, and how to get into the Delta and enjoy it yourself.
And apparently butterflies, based on the thing behind you. So what got you into this line of work, and why did you choose it?
My personal story is I actually came up here looking for a volunteer position. After interviewing for that volunteer position, they offered me a job shortly after that, and I stepped into the role of educator. Now, in order to become an educator, I graduated from Auburn University with a degree in wildlife sciences and spent time volunteering at their Raptor Center as well.
Now, let's get right into the whole COVID thing. How has that affected the work that you guys do in the center? And just you guys as individuals as well.
So we used to see roughly 7,000 students a year here at Five Rivers Delta Resource Center. You ask how COVID has affected us. Without those field trips, we've had to moderate how we do our education and provide our services for the community. It has been our goal to keep our gates open since day one, in compliance, of course, with the governor's orders. Because we do have those 81 acres worth of walking trails that are all ADA compliant, folks can get outside, they can enjoy it. We're open 8 to 5, and best of all, it's free. So we've moderated by keeping those gates open, providing that service to the community. We also have a 2,000 square foot exhibit hall that we spaced all of our exhibits at least 6 feet apart. That way, as family groups can come in, they can self-moderate and find their way around.
So one of the nifty things about it is because so much of it is outside, you actually have something that people can still do safely during this current COVID climate.
Absolutely. Not only can they come and enjoy it, but they can still come and learn because we have educational signs on our trees, on our taxidermy, and on our live animal exhibits. One of the big benefits is we have 2 pavilions that folks can still rent out so that they can enjoy those family reunions, those picnics, even memorial services we've had out there.
So, I mean, in an age right now, at least for the next several months, where people are starved for things to do, it gives them an opportunity to do something, feel like they still have some sort of life, but be safe in the process.
Absolutely. And then I spoke on that we're a gateway to the Delta. Mm-hmm. So many folks do not realize that within the Delta, we actually have camping platforms. So you talk about, getting away from those town centers, getting out there and enjoying your life safely. That's one of the best ways to do it, is to lose yourself in the Delta and find yourself all over again. And so those camping platforms are something that we've seen a huge interest in as of recently. And I think COVID has one of those direct effects on it.
Is there anything you guys would normally be doing or planning right now that you're unable to because of COVID?
Absolutely. Each year we normally have what we call Delta Woods and Water. And that's our expo where we show you what you can do outside. And it might be fly fishing, it might be kayaking, all of these different things. We've had to cancel events like that in the interest of public safety. So there's many things that we're not able to do. But as we lose those capabilities, we find other ways to reach out and open up.
So Alabama is actually one of the most ecologically diverse states in the nation. We don't get credit for it, but we are, and a lot of it can be found right here in the Delta. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what makes our area so special, in your mind?
Well, we do place 5th in biodiversity in the entire nation. Now, we do have over 30 species of frogs, 43 species of salamanders, 12 species of lizards, 49 species of snakes. Whether you like them or not, we've got them. 31 species of turtles, and 1 species of alligator. So that's just kind of hitting the head right there, just a few of the different types of biodiversity that we have. Now, what does make our area so special? It's that Mobile Tensas Delta, because it's got such a wide range in geological features. Parts of it have not changed in thousands of years. So you can go up to the Red Hills and find the Red Hills salamander, an ancient salamander. Then you can come all the way down to the lower Delta and find our prehistoric alligators. Once you see one of those 14 feet alligators, you say, wow, dinosaurs were a big thing. So it's the diversity of our habitat that provides that ecological niche.
And we've got 2 species of college football fans.
I'm going to stay quiet about that.
What do you consider to be the job of Five Rivers Delta when it comes to tourism in our area?
What do I consider our job to be whenever it comes to tourism? To provide a safe outlet and to encourage people to realize the beauty that is in our backyard and our state of Alabama. We have something called the Alabama Coastal Birding Trail that we're in charge of down here. And so you might come to Five Rivers property itself and learn about all of these other opportunities to go and do.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, y'all house and care for some of our local species of animals as well. What what animals do you guys take care of and why? And I thought I heard somewhere that you guys even have a hawk, maybe?
So we've got some pretty unique animals here at Five Rivers Delta Resource Center. I try and keep all native species in the collection if possible as a native representation. My goal is kind of to take everything from the Delta and bring it inside so that you're actually able to see it and enjoy it. For example, one of those things that we have right here is a corn snake. It's something that you might see in your very own backyard, absolutely harmless, but unless you meet it in a situation like this, you don't know that this is harmless. So we've got the snakes, we've got some cockroaches, we've got spiders, we've got all sorts of turtles, we even have education rats. Now, speaking of rats, you did bring up the hawk aspect. Personally, I am a licensed falconer, so I use birds of prey to go hunting with. That also means that I can use them for education. So one of my very unique things that I can do here for Five Rivers is actually bring in my own personal birds in order to use them for education. Now, I brought a little friend in with me today. That way, you could meet her. Step. So here we have a juvenile peregrine falcon. She is a hunting bird, and I was able to trap her on October 19th this year. Now, I'm only borrowing her from nature for this season, so I use her to hunt with, and then at the end of the season, I'll actually let her go right back to the wild. During that time, though, I get to talk about her and how, she's the fastest animal on the planet, and all of these other biological questions that people have.
Now, it just seems bizarre to me that you could say that you trapped her, and yet she's sitting right there on your hand, just hanging out like a house cat. Probably actually even more attentive and more disciplined than a house cat. So
nicer than my house cat. Yes.
So how does that happen? How do you? I would think that an animal from the wild like that would just be flopping all over the place. So are you trained in a certain way to train them? Are they naturally that way? Am I missing something?
There's a lot that does go into it. Now, she was so calm because she's got a hood on her head right now. I've got some other birds that I do not always use that hood, and so there's a slow progression in getting them used to this sort of setting. Now, how do I trap them? That's kind of a trade secret that another licensed falconer would have to teach you.
Got it.
So I'm gonna hold on to that one. It does include a 2-year apprenticeship, about a 100-question test, and the state government can come to your house anytime they want to investigate your facilities. So it's a very highly regulated sport. The beauty of it is that I'm blessed to be paid for a hobby that I get to use to teach with.
So it's, you know what, I'm looking here and I'm seeing that we've got to go to a commercial break. So, but there's more I want to talk to you about. Can you stick around after the break?
I'd love to, yes.
Okay, so we're going to be right back with Mark Wetzel with the Five Rivers Delta Center. And we are back with Mark Wetzel with Five Rivers Delta Center. We were talking about trapping, and we were talking about before the break. We were talking about how you guys have these animals right there on site. It seems crazy how much of our area's natural beauty has been historically inaccessible, but within the last 10 years or so, seems much more accessible with new nature trails and greenways. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Absolutely. One of our favorite programs really that we have here is the Forever Wild program. And so these are properties that are set aside for not just our generation, but future generations to enjoy. And I think that might be something that you're starting to notice is these portions set aside and trails built in them. That way we get people in nature, immerse them there. Because unless you learn about something, there's no way that you can conserve it or have a true appreciation for it. So there's some Forever Wild property really all over the state of Alabama.
Do you have a favorite one, a particular favorite, or one that you would say, if you're a family, you should definitely go on. If you're out on a date, you should definitely go. I mean, are there ones that you go, this one's really more romantic, this one's really more family oriented, or there's this one that's just really cool that everybody's got to go see?
I mean, Five Rivers.
Yeah.
Now, other than Five Rivers, though, I would like to kind of put a plug in. One of my favorite places to explore almost every single weekend is historical Blakely State Park. It's close by. It's got history in it with that Civil War history going into it. It's got walking trails, horseback riding trails, and mountain bike trails. So anything that you want to go and do out there, you can kind of do. Now, if you want to adventure a little further, you can go up to the Pitcher Plant Bog. It's up Highway 225 and see roughly 23 different types of pitcher plants that are up there. And that is a very unique thing to find right here in Alabama. Now, if you want to go on a date, I'd go down to Gulf State Park. Go ahead and go watch that sunset. Enjoy the restaurants down there. They do a beautiful job of managing that facility. So yeah, there's kind of somewhere to go for all of it.
Now, what can you tell me about Bartram Trail? I just learned about it, and it seems like something really special.
It is. So Bartram was an explorer that came through and first documented many of our different plants and animals. So what we've done is we've kind of historically mapped out his trail and then placed those canoe shelters along it so that if you want, you can jump on that trail and actually follow his same, I would say, footsteps, but paddle all the way down the river, taking a break at our camping shelters throughout.
That's really nifty. So during a normal year, what are the big events that our audience could come to enjoy at the center, and which ones are they still having, and then which ones I guess may have been put off or what have you?
So with complete uncertainty, let me talk. Let's see. So I do know that we're going to be having the Coastal Birding Fest, and that's coming up. The Delta Woods and Water is still up in the air, I believe. Our Halloween festival that we do each year, we had to modify some. This past year, instead of having our normal 3,000-person Halloween festival, I did a bike parade. So we're still going to be doing some of those big highlights that we have. I think I might be missing maybe an event or two. I've got staff here that's helping me out on them.
Well, let me ask you this: if people want to look up the events, is there a social media website they can go to? We can put it up on the screen, and then people can go right to that and look those things up themselves.
Yes, I'm glad that you asked that, because one of our best ways to update is actually through Facebook or our website, which is outdooralabama.com. And then that will also take you to a link of all these different places that we've been talking about to go and explore. The outdooralabama.com website is a wealth of information.
And your Facebook page, is it just Five Rivers Delta, or?
Our Facebook page is Five Rivers Delta Resource Center. Yes.
Got it. 5 with the number 5 or 5 spelled out?
With a number 5.
Got it. So say someone shows up bright and early when the doors open at the center, and what would be the best way for them to spend their day in and around the center and local attractions?
So we do open at 8 a.m. Now, our exhibit hall, we are not opening until 10 a.m. That way we can do proper cleaning procedures before everybody comes in. I would suggest pack a lunch. If you do have small children, pack their bicycles. If you yourself like a bicycle, go ahead and pack that as well. If you bring a kayak, we do have a free kayak launch that is also ADA compliant. So if you come here at 8 a.m. in the morning and it's beautiful weather, put your kayak in, paddle for the first 2 or 3 hours, come back, eat a lunch, then come view our exhibit hall, wrap around throughout the trails, visit our gift shop, and then wave goodbye at the end of the day. And every bit of it's free.
You know, at the beginning of the show, I talked about how we drive by all the time. People drive by it on the causeway. People drive by it on and you can see it in the distance in the bayway. And it's one of those things that you drive by, and a lot of people don't even know it's there. They kind of know it's there, but they don't know what it's about. So I'm so glad we had you on the show today, because there's so many things that people could be doing and enjoying that they're just not, because they may not be aware of it. So hopefully a lot of people will be around now and be able to come experience these things that you're sharing with us now. So a couple of other a tangent question. So what do you think about the City of Mobile's purchase of 300 acres around Brookley Field?
As opposed to who else would purchase it?
So, well, I mean, I guess what could it mean for tourism, do you think? You know, I mean, is there a certain, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll leave it at that.
What could it mean for tourism? I hope that they do positive things for it. You know, the Mobile Tensile Delta is something that's oftentimes overlooked. So the more area that we can set aside, you know, the better for our future generations.
Now, to that end,
Sure.
Is there a certain local nature trail or experience that all of us need to experience at least once? Is there one that you would pick?
Your very own backyard is oftentimes the best place to start. You know, folks overlook just the songbirds that are in their backyard or the lizards that are running around.
So, Mark, tell me, do you guys have any events coming up in the immediate future?
We do actually, David. We have our Fabulous Fridays coming up that during the month of February at Five Rivers, you can come between 5 and 6 and watch the sunset. So we're extending our gate hours to provide that opportunity for the public.
So that's something people either can just come for specifically, or if I presume if they come earlier in the day, they can stay for as well, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, Mark, so I appreciate you being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Wetzel with Five Rivers Delta.
Thank you, David.
Mum, a field operative in the States is down. Horrible wreck.
Where?
The Gulf Coast, and we just received word that an enemy agent is en route to the hospital to intercept him.
Do you want us to call 006?
No. I want somebody better.
You are? The name is Maloney. David J. Maloney.
Until we meet again. Oh, how I hate that bitch.
That is our show for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. A special thanks to Mark Wetzel with Five Rivers Delta Center for joining us. Taking us home tonight, still sitting in for our house band, the Mogiles, my son, Gianni.